Hey friends, how are you? I hope you are doing great. So friends, my name is Aditya Jain and again I am before you with a very in demand and at the right moment topic, which is how to have a strategy for the exam day and how to use time and the Scribble pad efficiently. Okay, so my dear friends, there are lots of anxiety, there's a lot of questions that people are having because the exam day is very near, and this session will actually be very helpful to you if you are struggling with having the right strategy, or if you are struggling understanding the time management or the Scribble pad related issues. Okay, so let's directly jump onto it. So today we're going to be touching upon the importance of a solid exam day strategy. Okay, we'll talk about the role of Scribble pad in solving and planning. We'll talk about the key focus of today's session, which is time management and accuracy. And we'll talk about the goal, which is maximizing your score efficiently, because we all know that the ultimate goal is to have the maximum possible marks and the best possible rank. So friends, why I am talking about all this? Because I would like to tell you that I have secured All India rank 60 in GATE Computer Science 2019, and actually when I look back, these things played a very important role in my rank. The mindset I had on the day of the exam, the actual preparation that I had before the exam, the presence of mind that I had during the exam, these factors were equally important as much as the knowledge I had on the day of the exam. So we all focus on the knowledge part, we all try to prepare as much as possible, but we tend to not have a proper strategy in place, and because of that we end up not doing our best. So the only goal is to make the maximum out of your exam marks to get the best possible rank. Okay, so please keep these things in mind. Today I'm not going to talk about the preparation part, because you all have done the preparation, right? It's the time to actually focus on the remaining parameters. So let's get started. So first, before starting the paper, what all to keep in mind? Okay, so I'm directly jumping on to, suppose you are sitting in front of the exam. Okay, you are sitting in front of the exam center. Okay, you are actually sitting in front of the exam yet to be started. Okay, you are having that computer screen in front of you with all the instructions and the timer yet to be started. Okay, so please read all the instructions very carefully. No point you should miss this. Okay, like I have seen lots of students who are so panicked, who are so in rush that they miss the important points. Okay, so please make sure that no matter how many mock tests you have given, no matter how many questions you have solved, no matter how many preparation you have done, it's your responsibility to read all the instructions very carefully. I'll just give you an idea why. Let's say there is a possibility that tomorrow GATE makes sure that there is all the questions have negative marking. Let's say I'm just giving you a possibility. Okay, all the questions have negative marking, even the NET types have negative marking, let's say. Okay, just I'm assuming, just I'm giving an example, don't quote me on this. Okay, and you have missed those instructions and you went on to the exam, you marked all the options, okay, thinking that there is no negative marking. You solved all the NET types question thinking that there is no negative marking because you have appeared for a mock test like that, and then you later get to know. Don't you think that would be a very heartbreaking for you? Okay, so my dear friends, you have to read all the instructions, even though there are chances that it will be exactly the same as what you have seen in the mock test, but still it's your responsibility to read them. You cannot blame anyone if the instructions were clearly mentioned, so please make sure. Okay, familiarize yourself with the question types, which is MCQs, MSQs and NATs. So as you know, MCQs are single correct answer questions. MSQ means multiple options can be correct, so you can select multiple options, and NATs are numerical answer type. So usually there is a pattern that some questions are having negative marking and some questions are not having any negative marking in them. Okay, so depending on the type of the question, there is either negative marking or no negative marking, and you can take the decision accordingly. I would still suggest, if there is no negative marking, you can think of guessing in the worst case. Okay, you can think of guessing, but I would still recommend don't just do random guess. It should be a calculated guess. Okay, and you should attempt non-negative marking questions for sure. If there is negative marking attached to a question, you have to be very careful, and you have to be as much accurate as possible. Okay, allocate time for each section based on weightage. Again, I have told this to you in your lectures as well, that you have to be very sensible about time management. Okay, don't spend too much time on a particular question. Okay, there are lots of questions in the GATE exam, and you have to solve maximum questions with maximum accuracy. No one will ask you, have you solved that particular question? If you have solved, I'll give you 10 marks. No, it's not like that. Whether you solved easy question, whether you solved half question, you will get the marks that were assigned for that question. You will not get bonus marks. Okay, so please don't get into the ego fight. Again, I am telling you, no matter how well sensible you are, it matters during the exam day what is your mindset. And many people get into this ego fight that I will end up solving this question no matter what. And I don't know whether they solve or not, but what they do for sure is they waste 20 minutes onto a single question and end up not even attempting the entire paper. So please keep these things in mind. I am telling from my experience that I have noticed my colleagues, my batchmates doing these mistakes. Okay, so you need to avoid such mistakes. Moving on, general strategy to attempt the paper. Again, I am sharing a very general strategy with a disclaimer that if you are comfortable with a particular strategy, if you are comfortable with your own strategy, if you have a strategy in place, please prefer that. There is no single right strategy. Again, I am repeating, don't forcefully adjust yourself into some other strategy. You can pick what you find relevant and you can put it into your strategy to make it more better. But ultimately, don't try something very different in GATE exam. Okay, you have to do the same strategy that you have tried during the mock tests. Okay, so the general strategy is attempt easy questions first to build confidence. Again, I would just say that that's how the mind works. Okay, you can see that mindset almost everywhere. Even the sprinters take a bit of jogging before sprinting, warm up you call it, right? Even the gym trainers do a bit of warm up before lifting high weights. And even the batsmen, when they go to the pitch, they don't directly start hitting sixes and fours, right? Unless and until it's a last over, right? They try to adjust themselves onto the pitch. They take some singles, doubles, and then they start hitting the fours and sixes. So ultimately, everyone is trying to build their confidence, okay, the momentum, and that's what you need to do. So what you can do is you can start by solving easy questions. Okay, the questions which you find easy, the topics that you think are easy, you can pick those and then you can attempt them. Once you have confidence, then your mind will help you solve tough questions as well. Okay, skip lengthy or difficult questions and mark them for review. Again, this doesn't mean that skip them, don't even look at them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying mark them for review. That means once you are done with the entire paper end to end, once you know that this is the question I need to spend time on and this is some question that I will not spend at all time on. So the questions that you have marked for review, you can go back to them selectively and then you can attempt those questions. Okay, rather than scrolling through, oh, whether this was the question, whether this was the question. You need to save a lot of time during the exam. Okay, so you need to have a proper utilization of marking for review option. Okay, balance time between technical and general aptitude sections. Again, I have noticed this, my batchmates doing this, and they actually told me that it was a mistake. What they did is they spent too much time on the technical part so that they were not able to give enough time to aptitude, and some did the opposite. They spent too much time on the aptitude section and they forgot that there is a technical section as well. Okay, so please don't do any such mistake. A question is a question. You don't have to think whether it is aptitude, whether it is technical. Ultimately, 2 marks are 2 marks irrespective of which section you are getting it from. So don't get into that battle. don't think that I will score 100% marks in aptitude no matter what. I myself have scored 100% marks in aptitude. I myself have scored 100% marks in maths. But I was not in the fighting mode. I was very flexible. I was like that I will score maximum possible marks in the GATE exam. I don't bother which section it comes from. And believe me, I scored 77.33 marks in the entire GATE exam out of 100. That got me an All India rank of 60 in the GATE Computer Science 2019. That was my very first attempt. And the reason I had scored such a great marks, I will give it to my strategy. I will give it to my presence of mind. I will give it to my accuracy. In the entire paper, I scored only a negative marking of 0.66. That is one negative mark of 2 marks question. One 2 marks question got wrong. Okay. So again, the point I'm trying to make is only speed is not important. Accuracy is also very important. Both are important. Okay. You have to have good speed along with good accuracy. And obviously it's an exam, so you have to do the best. Okay. So balance time between technical and general aptitude, you have to keep that in mind. Aim to complete the first round with 30-40 minutes to spare for review. Okay. So make sure that once you reach till the end of the paper, you have at least 30 to 40 minutes left so that you can go through the questions that you have marked for review. Very basic strategy. I used to call it my 2-pass strategy. I used to have a very calculated way of creating those 2 passes, but I would suggest you not to just copy it because it has worked for me. It might not work for you. So whatever you are comfortable with, that strategy is already on YouTube. You can check, but do whatever you are comfortable with. Ultimately, you have to score the best possible marks irrespective of what strategy it is. Okay. Okay, so moving on. Time management related tips. So divide time proportionately between sections. I would say not just sections, divide your time proportionality between questions as well. So let's say there are 65 questions, okay, and you have, let's say, 3 hours, okay, which is what, 180 minutes, okay, 6 into 3, 18, 180 minutes. So you have to just think, okay, if there is 180 minutes and there are 65 questions, on an average, let's say I can give around 2.5 minutes to every question, just a random number, okay, 2.5 minutes. So you have to have a proper mind. And if you want to make sure that there are around 30 to 40 minutes remaining after the first pass, so you can reduce down that time and then you can say, okay, from 180 minutes I have to keep 40 minutes for review, so I have 140 minutes only. And this is how you need to take decision. So on an average, spend no more than 2 minutes per question initially. What do I mean by that? Initially means when you are doing the first pass, when you're looking at the paper from first till the end. Don't spend too much time on a single question, because you never know if that question is the toughest question in the test or not. So goal is to at least go till the end of the paper and solve the questions which you were comfortable with, and then you can always come back to the questions that you have marked for review. Okay, this way you will end up actually going till the end of the paper rather than just getting stuck in between, and then later you will come to know that, oh, the last 5 questions were the easiest, and then you will be very stressed. You will be very unhappy that why you didn't went till the last question. So this should not happen. Okay, save 10 to 15 minutes for revisiting marked questions. So always we tend to have a mark for review question that we have already answered, but we are still not confident with the answer. And please read the instructions carefully. Sometimes the questions that you have marked for review and you have answered them are treated as the final answer, so you should have a proper idea about this. Okay, monitor your progress regularly with the timer. As I told you, the timer is there onto your screen itself. Okay, please have a very good calculated way that if the timer is this much, I should have gone through the paper this much. There are lots of things that are going on, and if you don't think about it beforehand, it would look a bit stressful. So please have all these things well prepared. Your mindset needs to be very calm. You should not panic about these things on the day of the exam. And only the ones who have not practiced well actually struggle with this. So please don't be that person. Okay. Moving ahead, using the Scribble pad effectively. Again, some people might think that it's a very small thing, but let me tell you, this is a very big thing, my dear friends, because Scribble pad is the only thing that you have on the exam day on which you can actually solve the paper. Your mind and Scribble pad, that's it, no other way. Okay, so use the first page for formulas and quick references. Again, this is just a suggestion. You don't have to follow this forcefully. So what you can do is you can use the first page for formulas so that you don't have to keep revisiting them in your brain. Keep calculations neat and avoid overcrowding. What I mean by that is, sometimes just because overcrowding, we are solving on the same page, we are overlapping our answers on the same page, we end up wasting a lot more time, because then we have to understand what we have written. We ourselves don't understand our writing. English looks like Chinese, right? So we have to use the Scribble pad very efficiently, very usefully. Draw diagrams of flowcharts for conceptual clarity. Again, sometimes drawing a diagram or a flowchart helps us solve questions way much more better as compared to writing the entire description. Okay, so please keep those ideas in mind. Highlight important calculations for quick rechecking. So what I used to do is I used to always mark circle to the final answer, so that when I'm going through the Scribble pad and I'm looking for the final answer, I can recheck it in the circled space. Again, personal choice. You can think whatever you like. You can do a double underline, whatever you think, but at least have some check, so that, because when you're writing naturally, the Scribble pad becomes very crowded. So there should be some mechanism for you to recheck it. Okay. Moving forward, mistakes to avoid while using the Scribble pad. Again, don't waste space. Use the pad efficiently. I have told you this multiple times, my dear friends. Scribble pad is not a joke. You have to be very careful about using it, because you have limited amount of pages that you can write on. Okay, and some questions cannot be solved without calculation, without writing them steps. So you have to use the Scribble pad very effectively. Okay, very efficiently. Avoid rewriting questions unnecessarily. So many of us have this habit that we write the question point by point. No one is going to check your Scribble pads. It's not a college exam where you have to submit that pad. Okay, so you have to only write the important points, the keywords, and then you have to solve it. That's it. No one will ask you to submit the Scribble pad and then they will check your answer and then they will give you marks. No. Okay, don't skip important steps in calculations. A very important step. We tend to take so much shortcut that we ourselves forget what the shortcut is, and that shortcut ends up becoming the long cut. We try to skip 3 steps and then we get so much confused that we again have to start from the beginning. So just relax, don't take unnecessary shortcuts. You have enough time. If you have prepared well, just take the necessary steps. Keep track of page numbers to avoid confusion. It's a very good strategy. I have done this on the day of the exam. I had numbered the pages so that I can recall if I have not misused any page a lot. I have so many pages left. Okay, so let's say it's half of the exam done and you're still on page number which is half the total pad, so you know that I can use very effectively. Okay, these simple things will help you use it efficiently. Handling different types of questions differently. What I mean by that? So MCQs eliminate wrong options to narrow down answers. Very good strategy. It's a very well proven strategy called process of elimination. I myself have used this when I used to appear for the GATE exam in lots of questions, and it worked like wonders. Because it's very obvious, sometimes you have to just eliminate the option, and even if it's 50-50. So earlier the probability of a right question was 1/4, now it's 1/2. So you have doubled down your probability to solve the question correctly. So please use it very effectively. MSQs, be cautious, no partial marks are awarded. Okay, again, please read the instructions on the day of the exam. But the standard pattern is that you will only be awarded marks if you have selected exactly the correct options only. No option more, no option less. Okay, so you have to be very cautious, obviously. NETs, double check calculations to avoid small errors. Whenever I tell this to anyone, it reminds me of the mistake that I have done in the GATE exam. So I still remember that in the GATE exam, the answer was 0.51. I blurredly remember that 0.51 maybe, and I actually solved it to be 0.51. My answer on the scribble pad came to be 0.51. But while noting it down in the exam, while submitting it, I only wrote 0.5. I forgot to write 0.51. And it was clearly mentioned that I have to write it in 2 decimal places. And what? I lost 2 marks. Although I didn't get negative marking for that question, but I lost marks. Even I solved it 0.51, but I got 0.5. I wrote 0.5. So you have to avoid such mistakes. Imagine if I would have written that correctly, my rank, which was All India rank 60, would have dropped down to under 40 rank, under All India rank 40. But still, mistakes are part of life. Okay, you can't crib about it. That's how it is. But you can reduce it. Okay, focus on questions with no negative marking for safer attempts. As I've told you, just make sure that you attempt all the questions which don't have any negative marking, because obviously there is nothing to lose and you can still have a good chance. Okay, moving forward, review strategy during the exam. So how do we review? Okay, on the day of the exam, revisit marked questions with a fresh perspective. Okay, please revisit the questions with a fresh perspective. Prioritize questions you can solve quickly. Okay, you can actually solve the theoretical questions quickly. Either you know them or either you don't know them. So please think wisely. Cross-check calculations and eliminate careless mistakes. So you need to always cross-check your calculations, my dear friends. Okay, it's always a good strategy to check twice because it will give you more confidence, obviously. Okay, avoid changing answers unless you are sure. This is, again, there is no right answer to this. It depends on how well prepared you are, how much belief you have on your preparation. Okay, you will always get that sound from the background that please check it one more time, please check it one more time. But you need to have certain trust, certain amount of belief in your preparation. Okay, managing stress during the paper. Now, very important part. Okay, take deep breaths if you feel overwhelmed. It's very obvious, and please don't be surprised if you see some question which is not from what you have studied. It's a very good possibility. It happened with me, it happened with everyone. But you have to have faith that, okay, if I have not studied something, it's fine, but there are lots of questions that I can still solve correctly. Okay, so please take deep breaths so that you can avoid stress. Focus on one question at a time. Please leave the remaining questions side when you are focusing on one question. You have to have your 100% on that. Okay, otherwise you will not end up solving it correctly. You might make silly mistakes. because silly mistakes happen when you don't focus on that question. Okay, don't panic if the paper seems difficult. Remember relative scoring. Absolutely, this is so obvious, but still people make mistake. If certain paper looks very tough, remember it's tough for everyone, because if you have prepared, if it's tough for you, then it's tough for everyone. If it's easy for you, it can be easy for everyone as well. So it's always relative. So don't panic in any situation. If 10 questions are out of the syllabus, it's for out of the syllabus for everyone, and it might happen that no one solved them. So please keep those things in mind. It's very obvious, but I still don't know how many people make mistake about it. Okay, trust your preparation and stay composed. Again, as I've told you, you have to have belief, you have to have trust in whatever you have studied. Okay, moving forward, tips for the last 15 minutes. Again, last 15 minutes is just a number, but again, just a general suggestion. You don't have to forcefully follow them. Revisit all marked questions systematically so that there is a sequence and you don't miss revisiting any question. Confirm answers for NET questions and recheck units. Recheck units. Okay, sometimes they might ask you to multiply it by 10 power 3 in the final answer. Sometimes they might ask you meters instead of kilometers, just as an example. Ensure you haven't left any easy questions unattempted. How you can do that? By checking the questions that you have marked for review. Submit the paper only after a final review. Obviously, if you have time, why to hurry? Okay, no one is giving you a badge of honor for solving the paper in less time. Okay, so please utilize the time properly. Final reminders, my dear friends. Final reminder from my side: stay hydrated and energized before the exam. Please make sure that you have taken good amount of food for energy to your brain, and you have carried water bottle with you. Follow invigilator instructions and exam rules strictly. As I've told you, no amount of preparation can make up for this mistake. So no matter how much prepared you are, you have to follow the invigilator's guidance on the day of the exam. Avoid spending too much time on a single question. Again, as I've told you, if you divide your time properly, you can avoid this mistake. Success lies in consistency and focus on the day. As I've told you, it's all about the day of the exam. Although it's backed by your preparation, but again, the presence of mind plays an important role. So make sure that you have the best shot. Okay. With this, my dear friends, I would like to say all the very best to you. Okay. I tried my best. This is a very sensitive topic. I tried my best to give you as much information as possible. I bring in lots of my personal experiences as a student into this. I hope I did it for you guys only. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. I wish you all the very best. This is Aditya Jain. Take care. Keep practicing. All the best.